So I've been developing film for about 3 years now. And it's definitely can be a messy process. And definitely, one of the biggest concerns, when I had moving into this apartment was how, am I going to be able to develop film, in such a small space, and also just, a space that, you're renting, that you can't, mess up by, spilling chemicals anywhere, or even like the matter of fact that chemicals, just can't go down the drain at all. So there's really, just that was probably my main concern, just figuring out, okay, well, how am I going to do this in, kind of a small space while also, not messing anything up. So I thought, I've been in this apartment for over, a year and a half now, and I've developed, tons of film here. So I thought I'd kind of just make a video going over how I, develop film in, just like a studio apartment, in a big crowded city, and how I just make it work. So I just keep all of my developing stuff up on this shelf here above my cabinets in my kitchen here. So it is just, kind of out of the way, which is nice. So I didn't really have to worry about, just like all my stuff just being, in the middle of my apartment somewhere. So in this container here, I kind of have just all the kind of extra stuff. So stuff that I don't use, every time I'm developing. It's mainly like backups, and then also just stuff for black and white, because everything black and white is, completely separate from the color, so none of those things mix. So I mainly, do color, so that's why black and white's kind of like in the backup bin there. And then this bin here with, the beach towel on top of it is everything that I do use when I am developing film. So I'll just, usually grab this container down, and everything I need is in there. And then I also just have my chemicals back there and my distilled water. So those are kind of just separated there. So still in the kitchen here, and I'm heating up my chemicals right now with the CineSil temperature thermometer. As you can see, it's almost done heating up. This is actually my first time using it. I recently just picked it up. But this thing is really nice. Make sure my chemicals are always the right temperature and stay that way. Because, we're just kind of like a cheap little thermometer that, I've been using the whole time, basically, just this little thing right here. Sometimes it's not always accurate. Oh, it's beeping, so that means it's finally at the correct temperature. So, my chemicals are all ready to go. But yeah, this thing is nice, super easy, super simple, and also helps save water, which is nice. But then here I just have my developer and fixer in there, so those are all ready to go. And then if we just make our way into the bathroom here, everything also set up as well. So this little wood board here is how basically I'm able to, use my bathtub as, a developing kind of surface. So it's just kind of this wood board here. Just kind of got it measured, for the size of the bathtub. And then, it's Velcroed into the wall back here to make sure, it doesn't move while, I'm developing, because that would be a nightmare. And then it's also just held up by this little pole here as well. So kind of an extra counterweight support, because, there's a little bit of a lip here, but it's not too much. So this just kind of helps keep it up a little bit more. And then, yeah, everything else is just kind of laid out here. I got the, Jobo tank here, which I recently switched to over the Patterson one. And, it's been amazing. I wish I would have switched sooner, because these things are amazing. Maybe I just had that twice, but I'm able to develop a lot more film and use a lot less chemicals. And then also just having it rotate for agitation is a lot simpler. And then I also just have some towels, paper towels and stuff like that, because, even though I am doing this in my bathroom, because, it is kind of, the cleanest place to do for something as messy as this can be, even though, chemicals can't go down the drain at all. So I kind of just have, a bunch of towels and stuff like that as a precaution, just to make sure, if something does spill, it's, not gonna go down the drain and, hurt something. And then also, I, completely light sealed out my bathroom, so I do also load my film in here. So the door, there's no way light will come in through there. And then also, I completely, taped over the window as well with just this, Duotol fabric, so to make sure, no light whatsoever will get in. And then, just as a final precaution as well, I just use this beach towel underneath the door here, so no light will get in through there either. So then when I turn the lights off, as you can tell, there's no light coming in anywhere. So it is completely safe to, load my film in here, which is nice, because there's no way I'd be able to black out, any other room in here. So it's very helpful doing that. So everything's, just kind of nice and set up here. I just, sit on the floor when I'm developing. And then I do also have this rack here for drying my film. So when I'm done developing, I'll just have it, dry there. So it's kind of a nice little way to do it. And I can do a lot as well, even though I've never really developed 10 rolls at once, but it's just, nice and efficient the way I kind of have, everything just set up here. Okay, so everything is now ready to go. Basically, the last thing I just need to do is retrieve the film leaders from my film, because with my F6, it does, when it, rewinds itself, it just, the leader goes in automatically. So that did. So yeah, I had to pick up this, film retriever to do that, because it just makes it easier to still load the jumbo reels if, the film is still in the canister. Definitely a lot easier than the Paterson reels. I found, for the Paterson ones, the film got off track a bunch and, took more time to load. With this jumbo one, it literally takes like maybe 30 seconds per roll. So, just definitely streamline the process a lot more using these jumbo tanks. So it's definitely, an investment. So if you do develop a lot of film, definitely invest into those systems there. And then just the last one here to go. Try to find that click. So yeah, pretty simple. Just do it that way. So I'm going to be developing 3 rolls of 35 and then 1 of 120. So now, just going to turn off the lights in here and load these. Okay, so the film is all hanging up and drying now, and then, I rinsed everything. So again, it's just, gonna dry here. So I leave it for about 2.5 hours, depending on how wet, it still is at the end of it. So yeah, I'll just, also I close the door here, and turn off the light. So, you don't have to deal with the possibility of really dust getting on my film. So just keep it, as safe as I possibly can. Okay, so that I guess is my, setup for developing film in a small space. I didn't want to go over, the whole process of developing film because I have made a video where I have gone over that step by step. The only real difference probably nowadays is, I have, that Jobo tank, so I am able to develop a lot more film at a time. And then I do the rotation, for the developer to, circulate and all that instead of the agitations, because I just find it a lot easier with that big of a tank that I use. So those are the only real differences. So if you, do want to know the step-by-step process, definitely, go check out that video. I just didn't want to make this, repetitive and go over it again because this video was really, just about developing, a high quantity of film in, such a small space, in a studio apartment. My bathroom's, not that very big. It is unfortunately where I probably spend most of my time in this apartment too, which is probably a weird thing to say, but just because of how much film I do shoot and how, constantly I am developing, I just, I am in there a lot. So it is, nowadays possible with, the kits they have, the tanks that they make. It really is possible to do all that, in such a small space and kind of an easy way as well. So I really, just wanted to make a video going over that of just how I develop film in my tiny bathroom in my studio apartment.